If you get a job that sponsors your visa abroad, it's a big blessing and it calls for celebration. Among us Nigerians, we celebrate it well, as we should. But after all that excitement fades, many people are not prepared for what it actually means to have your stay in a country tied to an employer. As someone whose family has been on a work visa before, I have lived that reality. And today I want to talk about 3 brutal psychological effects of being on a work visa. The kind you understand only when you're already inside the system. The first brutal truth is what I call the golden handcuffs. Yes, your visa gives you a good job, stability, and a new life. But that visa also takes away something from you. Your freedom to say no to your employer. The freedom to walk away. The freedom to say, I quit when the job is getting too overwhelming. Because the thing is, when your immigration status depends on your employer, you learn very quickly that your choices are limited and you cannot afford to be on the bad side of anybody. If the boss is disrespectful, you swallow it. If the workload is unfair, you manage. If they add last minute overtime, you say, no problem. You have to do what you have to do. But for a person that has permanent resident or even a citizen, they can walk away. They can say, I quit. They are not tied to the job because of their visa. They can afford to be offended. But you on a work visa, you cannot afford to be offended. You have to take whatever comes your way. If you are highly skilled, you may not experience this kind of things, especially if you have a good boss as well. Because if your boss is not mean, if your boss is professional, most times those highly skilled jobs, the companies protect them, they give them their dignity. But for the not so highly skilled ones, most times they treat them the way they want to treat them because they know that your stay in that country depends on your job. So for people in this position, the emotional cost is real. Yes, they have a job, they have a visa, they have legal stay, but they don't have freedom like citizens or people that have PRO. The second truth is what I call career coma. Now you have a job, you are working, but professionally you are frozen. You cannot change jobs easily, you cannot compete freely, and you cannot take risk. Even if a better employer wants what you have to offer, the question of do you need a visa sponsorship will always come up. And most times the mindset is that they will go with people that don't need that sponsorship. If there are people available that don't need visa sponsorship, it's easier for them to just go with them. And because of that, most people on work permits don't bother to apply elsewhere. Meanwhile, your colleague with PRO or citizenship is already changing jobs, getting 20K, 10K raises every year, climbing their career ladder. But you are stuck because you have to remain with the person that is willing to sponsor you. You don't have that freedom to explore your career outside your current employer. So you stay in one role for 4 straight years just to be safe. And this is very emotional for some people because you know what you are capable of, but you know your limitations as well. So because of the paperwork, you are stuck. That's the career coma. And the third truth is the one nobody ever wants you about. It's the internal timer you start living with. You know that if you lose your job, you don't just lose your income. You lose the right to stay in that country. For a citizen, a job loss may just be like financial stress or financial inconvenience. But for you on a work visa, a job loss is like an existential crisis. You're looking for a job that is willing to sponsor your stay. And many of these jobs would rather just go with somebody that don't need all that wahala. They already have their stay, their own is just to start the job. So your own stress is double. Now you are spending money, you're not earning. And sometimes people on work permits are not even eligible for unemployment benefits. So you have a money crisis, a job crisis, and an immigration crisis all at once. And this is a lot. And many of our people are going through things like this. When they come on work permits and they lose their job suddenly, it's a very hard position to be in. It's not something you can go about broadcasting to everybody, but then you still need to tell people about it. But sometimes people are still asking you for things, not knowing that you have these 3 big things on your head you're trying to sort out. And now sometimes with that 60 or 90-day timer, because sometimes if you have to find a job within 60 to 90 days, depends on the country, or else you will be asked to leave the country. And with that timer counting, you don't have the luxury to pick and choose jobs. You are ready to accept any job, even a bad one, just to stop that timer. And that timer changes everything. Even for people that have not lost their job, that timer ticking at the back of their head changes everything. How you sleep, how you feel, how you think when you hear that your company is laying off people. Most people are always on the edge because of that, because you know that you're just one HRO meeting away from packing your bags. Very sad and stressful position to be in. Now, I'm not saying people should not take job-sponsored visas. Many families, including mine, started like this, and it opened a lot of doors for us. But we need to tell the truth. We need to say it the way it is. The price of a work visa is not just money. It's patience. It's your dignity, endurance, humility. That emotional reality is part of the journey, which many Nigerians that get work visas learn too late. But that's not the end of the story. Many people have learned to have plan Bs when they are coming. So some of the plan Bs I've heard of and I've seen work are: one, keeping an active profile in the settlement path of other countries. For instance, if you're on a work visa in the UK or the US, you try and be in Canada's express entry pool. Just so in case anything changes, you are not starting from scratch. That is if Canada is one of the countries you like. So the mistake many people make is just put all their eggs in one basket. So they are in the UK, they are not looking at other countries because they have a work visa here, they are facing their job. But the thing is, being on a work visa is kind of fickle. So the best thing is, while you are in the UK or whatever country, look at other options available out there. I'm sure there are other countries you like, and most of these countries have pathways to settlement or permanent residence. A second plan B most people have is, can your spouse get a visa sponsored job? If your spouse can get a visa sponsored job, that's sweet, because if you have any issues with your own visa, you can quickly switch to their visa. But the thing is, your settlement path may reset. Maybe you've had 3 years under your belt, and when you switch to your spouse's visa, you go and start from the beginning. You have to start from the beginning. But that is still better than having to leave when you are not ready to leave. Because I know some people eventually they want to leave. But what if you are not ready to leave yet and you have this option? You quickly switch to it. The third plan B I've seen work for people is they don't wait to be fired. While they are working in their job where the employer is sponsoring them, they are also checking out other employers in that industry that are able to sponsor their visa. They find them, they stay in their bubble, network with them, so that when crisis hits, they don't start from zero. Some people is after they fire them, they'll go and get a LinkedIn profile, they'll start networking with people on LinkedIn, and then timer is going, timer is counting. Your days are numbered. 10, 9, 8, your days in the country are no, and everything you do at that time, you're doing it under stress, great stress. You make mistakes. But if you already have people in your network that can introduce you, that can sponsor your visa, now you start talking to them. So you don't have to start from ground zero. Having a work visa, like I said, is a blessing and a huge blessing, but it comes with this cost. So the best thing is to shine your eye. As you are celebrating it, make sure you have your plan B set up. Do you know any other psychological effects or costs that people on work visa go through? And are there other plan Bs you think people can have if they are in this situation? Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.